Hello, welcome back to the Keep It Tottenham podcast, about as regular as a menopausal 50-year-old. My name is Token Bird. There's some bloke over here, not sure who he is.
I'm Joe Biden. Jim Bowen.
probably.
God damn it.
Can we put him in charge of Spurs? Will that make a difference?
I tell you something, I'd swap Sleepy Joe for Comatose Daniel.
I'd rather have José Mourinho run America. Anyway, here's a bit of music. What's gone wrong, Harry?
What's gone wrong? Well, first of all, it's all my fault, and people like me. That's because we need to think like good National Socialists. If we're to solve any problem.
With squeaky chairs. Could you have brought any more squeaky chair into the room?
Are you feeling the rhythm of the night?
It's not a good look. It's so good this isn't on
visual
on YouTube.
I'm going to have to upscale where I steal from in future.
That's a brand new chair as well.
Yeah, but it's got me in it.
That's true.
In fact, that phrase... No, anyway, moving on.
Yes.
Right, where are we? We're not in... This
in
chair.
Land.
Unbelievable.
No, don't move.
Don't breathe.
40 minutes. Go.
Okay, I'll have to turn the nebulizer off. Where we are is a curious place because...
Worcestershire.
No, curious, I would think more along the lines of Derby or Kidderminster. There's a couple of places you don't want to go unarmed. Where we are is a curious place, and I tell you what, I'm going to be completely fair here because I am going to name names and metaphorically kick people's heads in. But we've all been locked up for quite a while, and we've had this conversation off air about football, and I don't think that people in the business, which is to say the journalism, the football, the punditry, the whole thing, the blogs, the webs, I don't think people have factored this in at all. And you close the coffee shops and you close the pubs, which were dying anyway, but you go to any pub, and I don't mean these awful, desperate gastro pubs. There's 5 things I don't want in pubs.
Go on, tell us.
Food, music, children, coppers, and music.
Basically, you want beer and dogs.
Beer, dogs, and men talking about football, and women who are nice to be near.
Well put.
For whatever charms they might bring to the thing. But no, but anyway, but you take away the social element of humans, and anybody who's working from home and it's new to them, and then suddenly they're like, oh, fantastic, I've saved $3,000 on coffees and
food sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly. But then they actually think there's a massive void in their lives. And the point I'm getting round to here, sort of pop psychology, is that I think people are, and we see it on the social media and on the news, they talk about mental health and people suffering in different sort of ways. But one crucial aspect about this is that when humans are kept away from each other, and bear in mind solitary confinement's the worst thing we've decided underneath the death penalty, and that's not by chance. That was researched. But when humans don't get together, they don't refine themselves, and they stay in an artificially suspended state of animation. And if you combine that with the way people communicate online anyway, who aren't great communicators in the first place,
sure,
you end up with a disaster, which, if you go online and, okay, I'm going to do it, millennials, and they'll say, oh, yeah, you're small club, you're living rent-free in his head, and ratioed, and all this other language, which doesn't really mean anything. It's very passing. It won't be around for in a time to come. But people, it's like eating junk food, and then you wonder why you get fat and spotty. And these people, they're not being refined, and they're so humans weren't designed to live in this age anyway.
No.
All this technology, staring at screens all the time, and if your average human being had to get up at 4 a.m, walk for 10 miles, and then work for 12 hours.
Go down the pit.
And all that, and come home again just in order to feed and clothe himself. He wouldn't be depressed. He wouldn't be worrying if he was happy about his sex that he'd been born. He wouldn't be worrying about his feelings or other people's feelings. He'd be going to bed very tired and hopeful there was a little crumb of bread in his tummy.
There's not a lot of space to think about other stuff when you're busy surviving.
Precisely. And so what I'm saying is we've got to a point where my rage, my unchecked anger with stupid people has almost... I mean, a friend of mine I speak to all the time.
You've got friends?
Yeah. As long as the direct debit keeps on going, he's there. And he said, he admitted it's getting to him. And he feels like occasionally, at least once or twice a week, and I think he used the phrase, ripping a door off its hinges.
Yeah, I think people are finding this latest lockdown the hardest as well. It's hit people I know who are bumbling along okay. It's a tough gig right now.
It really is. And so I'm going to factor that in because I'm a big-hearted guy. It's a congenital condition. My father died of it. But I'm going to factor that in, that there are people who haven't been out of the house properly, haven't been able to socialise properly. And,
football's one of the few joys.
And the football they're being spoon-fed is in empty stadiums with VAR, and it's at times like this where the most minuscule thing, and would you believe that I feel like this, the most minuscule thing can set you off. I mean, if I get out of bed and 3 bad things happen in a row, my first instincts these days is to get back into bed. Because I just haven't got the time and the patience for it all. And so with football, I think it would be remiss of me, it would be unfair not to factor in the general mood, not in the camp, but in the planet. And people, they're a little bit short on empathy and understanding. That said,
here it comes.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't think there's any excuse for abandoning or not understanding or wanting to find out about critical thought.
Quite.
And ignoring facts. So if we can stop shouting, start thinking, we're heading in the right direction. And so where are we? Well, I'll tell you where we are. We're 6th in the table. Cannot speak, cannot lie. We're not 16th. And we've been serving up some hit and miss football that even when it was good, and I'm talking about,
beating Man City 2-0 game was great.
City won 2-0, beat Arsenal 2-0, United 6-1. Now, ordinarily, if you take a season and you tell fans, not before the season or afterwards, say, what would you think of a season that contained those 3 results? You'd say, well, that's a season I don't mind. Thanks very much.
Yeah, we love that.
I've had worse seasons than that. But nobody was happy because the football, the style of it, wasn't to everybody's taste. Now, this is a totally separate thing because what I'm not going to try and do is and I always use this as an example because it's quite a pungent tasting food. I don't like tuna.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can say to me that is going to explain or convince to me that a tuna sandwich is a nice thing to put in your mouth. No, it smells like roadkill. Just on anything. Outside of a tuna fish's body, which is alive and swimming in the sea. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sell you...
Where they should stay.
I'm not going to sell you, dear listener, the idea of Mourinho or the substance of Mourinho or explain to you what he's doing and go about it to patronise you. I'm just going to say I understand it if it isn't to your taste, but that doesn't mean it's wrong, because if you go into any sandwich shop, most of them, apart from, say if you're in Newcastle or something, most of them will have a tuna roll on the thing. And, you can get tuna as a pizza topping, whatever. But the point I'm making is, if it's not to your taste, that's fine. I'm not going to ram it down your throat. I'm not going to try and convince you over something that you don't like. I should have said mushrooms, actually, because everybody does mushrooms.
Oh, no, I love mushrooms.
Yeah, but...
mushrooms are ace.
You're not involved in this. You're not involved in this.
So good for you. They're real fun guys.
That's shocking. That...
Oh, I just needed a bit of levity. Come on.
A 5-year-old would punch you for saying something like that. But anyway, the point I'm making is I'm not going to try and sell you Mourinho because it cannot be done. If you're not interested,
I'm already sold. Is quite of all the 58-year-olds on the planet. Cool.
Yeah, but you also have a shirt with Bale on the back, which we're refusing to shred. So I think we know where you are. So
he's going to score a winning goal in a cup final. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, for the other side, while he's doing his hair.
Yeah, the man bun, I'm not so sure about that.
So we got to a point where Mourinho arrives, I hate doing all this recap stuff, which is why I went down the social thing first, because I want to try and establish where people's minds are. Mm-hmm. I think that's more helpful.
Setting the scene.
So we've got that element, and we've also got people who just they just don't like what they see. And I had comments on the blog. I've got rid of a load of people because I'm quite happy to be the last man standing. I fear nobody in real life or online, and I'm not a keyboard warrior. I'm just a totally intolerant person.
That's true.
And it's really vital for your mental health, kids, not to listen to stupid people. I can't emphasise that enough. And the quality of fan commentary. And I've noticed people I follow on
Quality of commentators' commentary.
Oh, don't.
It's really winding me up.
Yeah, well, I think they're really suffering from the lack of oomph that the players are getting from the crowd. So even if we say, well, the Tottenham fans aren't happy with that, there's people leaving, there's people booing, and all this sort of thing. Well, they don't have any of that. So they've got their show notes, and that's all they've got.
Stats going back to 1852.
Curiously enough, it was Ipswich Town in 1804 that first beat. Thanks.
I have nothing in common except the name.
Thanks, Malcolm. So the quality of fan commentary is highly dubious, and we don't just have the morons of Twitter who want to supply "This is football" with 1,000 headlines a day, with the severity of their angst because somebody had a 28% passing accuracy or whatever the hell it was. But we're also having this fanned by irksome cretins like the Redknaps. Now, if you don't think these people have got an agenda, right, I'm not... this, again, isn't selling you anything. This is just telling you how it is, like night follows day. There's no surprise that these two creatures have come out from the lagoon. And, I mean, to perpetuate an absolute fairy tale that, Dele Alli's worth a go. And I won't dwell on it for long, you'll be pleased, because I forgot to run the stats off from the blog. But giving Dele Alli a go are the same people that were saying against Liverpool that we really desperately should bring Bale on. Now, Bale did play for 15 minutes, but he didn't do anything. I think he had 5 touches. But Bale subsequently played an entire game against Brighton and was absolutely mediocre. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you, and this is another thing, this isn't bending the stats, folks. Stats, what cannot speak, cannot lie. So as long as you don't cherry pick, as long as you make a rational, overview when you're using them, they're the guiding light.
This is one of the reasons why I think people are reading your blog and foolish enough to listen to this podcast, because football, unfortunately, has gone the way of a lot of other discussions, political, cultural, religious, etc., where, or maybe not religious, they're not discussing... It used to be you would have an opinion about a fact. Correct. Or a series of facts.
Yep.
Okay? And that's what you discuss, your opinions on the facts. Now the discussions show that people have different perceptions of the facts. So you're no longer discussing the facts. Yeah. How can you have a discussion about anything when you can't even agree what the facts are? Yeah. And football, I'm afraid, it would appear, has also fallen victim to this, because people aren't discussing facts, they're discussing their perception of the facts.
Well, this is one of the lines that came out during the Trump administration, which did him, that administration, no favours. But it was the business of alternate facts. And sure, in some instances there are more than one sort of straight answer, but that's a very scientific way of looking at things. But the cold light of day is, if you win the game, it's a professional sport, you won.
Yes. That's
not up for debate. It's like when Spurs lost, was it in the final or whatever, against Chelsea, and it was 4-2, and people say, yeah, but we had 80% of the ball.
Semi-final.
So, whatever it was. Sorry, I'm not being rude, but
whatever. Where I wanted to leave early.
No. It was the one we didn't go to. It was the totally different one. But the point I'm making is that wasn't 4-2. What's wrong with you?
I can't even remember.
But anyway, the point, the thing I'm saying here is that you can't but to stuff. And this, yeah, but what about, and the what aboutery thing. This is the destruction of language, and worse still, it's this destruction of critical thought. And if you can't do it, then I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to provide content for you. I'm not going to let you comment on any of my work. And I want to keep you away from me because you're nuts and you're dangerous. It's as straightforward as that. And it's not because I'm weird. It's because I'm making more sense than you've ever heard in your entire life before. And I'm scared of you, because if there are more of you than there are of me, then the world is going to be in trouble. And that's it. So we've got so the Redknaps are saying, oh, we should play Dele Alli. And people who don't know anything about football are saying that Mourinho's lost the dressing room on the basis that Serge Aurier, who was... There goes the dog.
There goes the dog.
Serge Aurier, who was thrown out of his last club, and let's have it right, for homophobic remarks that wouldn't pass muster with anybody on Twitter and the middle-class white millennials that are ruling it, and wouldn't pass muster under any circumstances. So, a little bit of context, again, something that these people are allergic to. So, he storms off at half-time, oh, Mourinho's lost the dressing room. Those same people wanted Aurier basically DHL'd back to France after about a fortnight with us. Now he is the guiding moral and ethical principle of the club. Because if Aurier isn't happy, then Mourinho really must be a bastard. You know, there's no two ways about it. If Harry Kane had stormed out the dressing room at half-time, who I take as being the most vanilla, nice, honest, decent, competitive, blah, 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 then I would say you've probably got a really massive, bloody, horrible problem. But Serge Aurier, less so.
No.
So, Spurs...
To be fair as well, I remember Mourinho saying he was quite happy for the players when it was freezing cold weather to stay in the dressing room. Well, if you're already... I keep wanting to say White Hart Lane. If you're already playing at home and you know you're not going to be playing for the rest of the game, why would you sit there in the freezing cold watching, or just in the dressing room? Personally, I'd just go home anyway.
Yeah, I mean the thing is,
thanks, boss.
The thing is, you're not
see you at training.
Well, for starters, you're not going to learn anything by hanging around, and that would be my big argument. So, we've got to a situation where nobody's happy, and I haven't gone into great detail about why nobody's happy because there's no great detail to give. We're sixth in the table, we're in a cup final, but we are playing some absolutely mind-boggling, turgid football.
It's weird,
and we've gone from a scenario whereby we play this like football which irritated some people. That's fine because I'm not selling it to you, but absolutely blew the minds of clowns such as you and I against Manchester City, where we played this amazing game of containment and then used the talent and unsprung Sonny and Harry and won the game.
Yeah.
With a very low expected goal ratio and all the rest of it. That's kind of the way things are set up, and then that's all gone off the boil. So why has it gone off the boil? How do we think that? Well, the easiest solution is just to go, well, it's his fault because I didn't like him in the first place, and here's half a dozen reasons that don't stand up to any scrutiny. But if I throw enough guano against the wall, something will stick. I didn't want him in the first place. Did I tell you that? Did I already say that? Yes, you did. Right, so let's ignore all that because that's the noise of Twitter and the other stupid places, and look at the facts. And the facts are that we've got too many duff players on our books. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but if you've got a car, I have to be careful because I know nothing about cars. But
That's true.
If you've got a car that's got a wheel missing and a windscreen wiper missing, and the radio sort of electrocutes you when you put your finger on it. In fact, you've got a car from a circus that clowns have previously, intoxicated clowns have recently driven. If you take yourself out of the car, because you can't get a song out of it, you can't drive it even to the end of the street, and you put, I don't know, Lewis Hamilton in the car, as it is, he might be able to do a little bit better than you, who doesn't know anything about cars. But what you really need is a garage.
Quite.
Yep, because you need to fix things. So it doesn't matter if you put Lewis Hamilton dug up Sterling Moss, dug up whoever, and put them, James Hunt, and put them all in there, they're not going to achieve anything because the car is essentially bleeped, right? It's not going to work. So let's look at the Tottenham squad. And I would posit that Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, Harry Winks, Eric Lamela and Ben Davies. Where's Danny Rose? Yeah, and you can add Danny Rose on there. Are duff. They've been around forever. They've not won anything, and they're directionless. And I would say that their attention span, going into the same office, doing the same job, they know where the toilets are off by heart, they know where the canteen is, they probably go in and say, hello Mabel, and Mabel knows to give Eric Dyer a roll with his soup, but not to give Ben Davies a roll with his soup because he's wheat intolerant or whatever. And this has gone on for so long, it's just a suffocating, just an unimaginable vacuum that just doesn't end. And you can't say to me, yeah, but, because at what point do you say, well, I think he needs a run of games. He had tonsillitis. His foot wasn't right. His ear fell off. When they've been there for 7, 8 years, Eric Lamela's been there, there's a point where it's just never going to come right. And there are players who aren't fit for purpose. Matt Doherty, Gedson Fernandes, lace of this parish. This was typed up a day before this went. Carlos Vicinius, Gareth Bale, Dele Alli, Lucas Moura. Now you can say to me, that's terribly harsh.
That's terribly harsh.
That's terribly harsh. You're a nasty man. We knew you were nasty, but not that nasty. And somebody actually posted on the blog the other day, which I thought was fascinating, and they drew up a list of players and said, well, I can see from that list of 15 players that 7 of those had appeared in a Champions League final. Yeah, and we lost it. And it was humiliating, and it was toilet to watch. And every time somebody mentions it to me, I feel this sort of like this gulping thing, like somebody's reminding me of something really shitty I did as a kid. It doesn't bring me fun.
The water brush wells up.
Yeah, it's a really uncomfortable memory. So you're trying to tell me that these losers, that's what they are. They're not anything else. They're losers. These losers have a cachet about them because they once went to Milan and were publicly humiliated live on TV in front of a world-beating audience. So that's rubbish. These guys, there's too many of them. And then, this is the other thing. I've been banging on about this for a million years and nobody ever pays any attention to it because it's so tedious. It's such a train spotter way to approach football. Injuries. Football is a contact sport. And even running around on a field, even though it's like a snooker table, they end up injuring themselves. And so we've got Kane. Is he our best player? Do people have been calling him our best player?
I think he might
have
be.
they been calling him a talismanic best player?
Quite possibly.
Giovanni Lo Celso, who...
He ain't half bad.
I think he's pretty damn sexy. And Sergio Reguilon, who's equally amazing. You've got 3 proper rock and roll players that are out.
Oh, so now tell me, please, Harry, how come when we have injured players, we can't play football, but when Liverpool have injured players, they can still play football? What's the difference?
Well, the difference is they go for 9 hours without scoring.
Yes.
Till they met us. And then we turned up with this pile
Dr. Tottenham will treat you now.
We turned up with this pile of old shit, put it on their roses, and they began to bloom. That's what happened. It's not complicated. You see? And the thing is, but we had fans, and this is going to come as a real killer here, because pointing at José and saying, I didn't want him here in the first place. And then some old pony that doesn't actually it totally can't be substantiated. He's a dinosaur, bus pog, I don't like him. He smells. All of that, you throw at him, and then you say...
I bet he smells really nice.
I would say he smells fabulous.
I bet Mourinho smells amazing.
I think Joe Malone follows him down the road, trying to just get up a hooter notes of Mourinho so she can be inspired to produce new fragrances.
If he chooses
from
fragrances
water lilies,
like he chooses watches, he will smell
from
nice.
water lilies and crushed cigars or whatever. But so you've got this thing where he can't get a tune out of this junk. right? He can't get a tune out of this junk. And so you say, what he needs to do, right? What he needs to do, I've had enough of him, right? He doesn't know what he's doing. He needs to give Gareth Bale a run. Now, I hate to be the bearer of cold, stone cold facts, which are extra cold facts, those ones. But Brighton are 17th in the table. And if you look at Brighton's, don't worry about statistics, because some of you think I'm using them as a device. Let's just look at that old-fashioned thing, the league table. 17th.
That doesn't lie.
Brighton.
Although the games are all over the place.
Yeah, but Brighton don't have 10 games in hand.
Which is annoying the hell out of me.
Yeah, but Brighton don't have 10 games in hand.
No.
Let's not get confused.
No.
Brighton are tut. And Brighton were... If Brighton had... Do you know, if they'd had another striker on the pitch, and not even a very good one, they could have done us 3 or 4 0. No, I'm serious, and that's one of the joys of being an expected goal nerd. You can actually see that they had 15 shots on target. Sorry, 15 shots on goal, 4 on target. We had 4 shots on goal, 4 on target. So what that says is we didn't create enough opportunities, and they created tons, but they couldn't finish the dinner.
Yeah.
So, pay Gareth Bale, give Gareth goal. Well, do you know something? I hate to pluck one game. So let's just take every single performance Gareth Bale has given us, and he's given us a few goals, I totally admit that, but he's a shadow of his former self. And whilst there are tons of positives about him, he's costing £1 million a month, and we're not getting the return on our dollar. So if José Mourinho, who is a serial winner, oh no, he's not going to mention his CV in again. I'm sick of it. I told you I don't want him here in the first place.
Don't want a serial winner.
Don't want a serial winner. I wanted an Emperor burger. But if Mourinho is capable, just capable...
It's more like, the better analogy than him being in the wrecked car is that everybody's in cars at work, except some of the managers are racing Ferraris...
Correct.
And the like. And Mourinho, Levy's come along and he went, oh, you can't beat a good old Rover.
That's a British car. That's a British car. You know where you stand with a British car. But so Mourinho, let's say...
They don't even make them anymore, and that's what we've got.
Let's give Mourinho, based on the evidence, only facts and not opinion.
No analogies.
No analogies. Just give him... Just say he might have got it right with Bale, that Bale... isn't the game changer that people hope that he might have been. It's just a very expensive fairy tale. The sad thing is the disbelief has been suspended early. It's a pity we couldn't have got rid of him at Christmas, but there we are where we are. So let's wonder about the Dele Alli thing. Now again, I don't want any thoughts from the audience here. I just want to recount facts. Now, one of the most astonishing things that's ever happened in my lifetime, and I keep saying this as a football fan, is being able to see inside the club, that thing that Amazon did. Now, they might broadcast football matches with a 3-minute delay, with an unwatchable picture. Yeah, they might be absolutely shit at that, but they can hold a static camera steady.
And I get my books within 24 hours.
And, delivered next door. Soaked through with orange juice. But you can watch the All or Nothing documentary and see Mourinho on 2 occasions raise publicly to the player, to his face, and to the chairman of the club, and to the kid's face in front of the rest of the squad, that he was lazy, that he didn't train properly. And he said to Mourinho, he doesn't train well. And I can't remember what Levy said, and it's like Mourinho sitting there, and what he wants to say is something full of expletives. So he just repeats for the emphasis, doesn't train well. And you then go, this makes sense if you're me. And other people who are, shall we say, not me and fundamentally stupid, they say, yeah, but what he said about chocolate bars, I thought that was brilliant. This guy isn't very bright. He's on a lot of money. He's got his little girlfriend. He's got his boohoo underpants on. He's feeling good about the world, but he can't be bothered. So maybe, and I'm going out on a limb here, maybe the serial winner who was able to spot that a player such as Gareth Bale who's, after 7 years of being injured quite a bit in the last 3 years, isn't the man he used to be. In fact, none of us are the men we were 7 years ago, or women. In fact, some of the men who were men 7 years ago are now women. If you listen to those people, I'm identifying this week as a green recycling bin myself. But that's my own inner turmoil, and I don't want to discuss it with you because it's personal. But the point... The deal with here is maybe he's clocked that Dele Alli isn't very good at joining in and being worth a place. And a lot of these people who are anti Mourinho's judgment were massive Pochettino fans. And all I got from those sons of bitches, it went on for a long time because he was here for 5.5 years or whatever it was. All I got from them was, yeah, but the philosophy, you train to play.
Remind me.
If he can't train, how do you expect him to play?
Remind me, how many proper transfer windows has Mourinho had with Spurs?
Well, we're going to come on to that.
Okay.
But I can tell you he's had one.
There you go.
And the one window he's had, for those of you who have the selective memory problem, but I don't, and I've got a blog there that goes back to 2005. So if there's anything you're not sure about, you know where to click. It's all there. We didn't miss anything, and we didn't invent anything. The deal. Well, apart from that stuff, but the deal is that Mourinho had one window. He's now had two, people will say, but he's not had a second summer window. Mm-hmm. But Levy had done the groundwork on scuppering this tired bunch of deadbeats that Mourinho has in his charge today.
Quite.
So, we'll spin through really, really quickly because it is boring. I'll just make sure...
That's all right. You just give people a heads up that it's boring so they can switch off now.
Well, no. It's because it's the tedious stuff which people hate, but they want to say, yeah, but is he making it up? So, you're a random member...
Sing it.
What a god! So you're a random member of the audience. We've never met before, have we? Thank you very much. Is this your watch? Now, Tottenham's ageing team.
That's a Rolex.
Shh. These images are from Sky Sports. Okay, and basically they go over some very, very treacherous old ground.
I can't believe you've actually used up our ink cartridges to print off whole screenshots from.
Yeah, but I'm writing this out.
How much cyan you've just used?
Invoice me and surprise me.
I will.
Right. Since 2014, when Maurizio Pochettino was still roaming...
And just squinting at it. He didn't even print it big enough.
I was thinking of the ink wastage. Since 2014...
Pointing now. That helps.
We've got a table here which has got 6 teams in it, if I'm not incorrectly looking at it. And...
Yeah, spit it out, man.
What does that say? Oh, yeah. Signing. This is
going well.
This is going brilliant.
We should do this every week. Not that we even do a podcast.
Right, I'm now going to stop the show and I'm going to describe the Mona Lisa to you.
She sort of smiles a tiny bit.
Because she's got... Right, now here. We bought 4 players in the entire time Maurizio was with us. 4 players that cost over 20 million. And everybody else who finished above us in the league and did better bought between 6 and 16. That wasn't worth sharing with people.
Well, the net spend is the interesting bit on there.
The net spend, top 6 spending since 2014 during Poch's reign, was 11 million. City, 316 million. United, 258 million. Arsenal, 162 million. Liverpool, 46 million. Chelsea, 15.
I think they have a season where they couldn't buy anyone.
Yeah, Chelsea were embargoed, and Liverpool had at that point they were preparing to win the champion or won the Champions League. But listen, we go through all of them. But the thing is, and the ageing team, we went. This was another thing. I was kept on being told by you wretched people that we had this young team and a young manager. Started off. The average age was 24
in
2014-15.
Right.
by the time we got to 2019-20, and a lot of you as well seem to forget that the last 2 seasons under Pochettino were pretty bloody torturous. The average age had gone up to 27 years. Now...
well, nearly 28, actually, because that's 27 years and 243 days.
Yeah. So the thing... So this... What?
And you've printed it twice.
Not intentionally. I don't even know how that could happen. So the point I'm making is that what Mourinho inherited was this fetid mess of players. It's just dysfunctional. And they were the players, if you want to put it into that simple, less than 120 characters Twitter language, they were the players that got Pochettino sacked. But it wasn't the players that got Pochettino sacked, it was Levy. Because Levy buys the players. And as I had a running battle with numerous half-wits who didn't understand the system at Spurs, there was no council of elders, there was no committee, it was always Levy. And it took Pochettino to come out in a press conference saying, well, maybe they should change my job title. Because what he was saying was, well, I didn't buy any of this junk.
Yep.
So, he's got all this junk sitting there. So, we
need a boot sale.
We don't bring it, just buy it. So, we've mentioned Daniel Levy, and so while he's on the floor gasping for air, I suggest we go for the throat and his reproductive organs, if we can find them with our steel toe caps. But what does Daniel Levy bring to the table? Well, the thing people like you don't understand is that the man is a financial wizard. He's a genius. That seems strange. So, can you tell me, Mrs., right, before you fall asleep, we're nearly out of this. We're nearly out. Can you tell me, what did Arsenal do this window that they deserve a round of applause for?
They got rid of Ozil.
What they got rid of was £736,000
£100,000 million, 20,000,
$521.4 Sergeant Police Constable Officer.
Should we try that again?
Okay, 736,000. What is that?
736,000.
Oh, right, okay. We're just testing for those of you listening in Braille. That's all. We're very inclusive to a diverse audience here, madam. So, they shifted all this junk. Saliba, Macy, Mustafi, AMN. Oh, that's that Niles guy who they were all raving about, and he's gone to West Brom. Can you imagine?
What?
Willock and Socrates, Kolasinac and Özil. So all of these deadbeats, because this is what they are, none of them have won anything. Oh, actually, they probably won an FA Cup or two. Yeah, but they were in the squad. They wouldn't have done anything useful. Yeah, so 736,000. See what I did there?
You got it right this time. Well done.
Easy peasy.
I'll write it out in full for you next time.
736,000, Shazam, gone. What's Daniel Levy done? He's left us with Dele Alli, and I'll just keep this brief, but I've been banging on, and Fabrizio Romano, I'm not going to try and tread on his toes because I know he's worshipped, but he only gets his information from football agents, and I hate to break it to you, but some of them tell fibs. We weren't looking to replace Dele Alli because you don't replace something you're not using. What we were looking to do, or rather what Mr. Levy was looking to do...
He's a bit of a SCART cable, isn't he? Dele Alli. He's a SCART cable. It's
what,
like...
you can't work out whether he's male or female unless you're holding him out of a window.
Just don't need him anymore, but it's hanging around.
Yeah. Is that an HDMI? I don't know. Just toss it. Just order new from Amazon. They'll be £2 each. But this guy, he couldn't be shifted because if you look, and I did yesterday because I'm exceptionally good at my job. If you look online, all the loan deals that were being done, clubs wanted a clause in the loan deal that said that they were going to be able to buy them, an option to buy at a fixed price.
Okay.
And the reason they wanted that, because they're doing all the work, all the cooking and cleaning and housing and playing and training. Mm-hmm. So if the guy does actually, after all those processes, comes through after playing, 30 games or something, comes through and they say, actually, this guy, yeah, we should definitely keep him. They don't want to get interfered with. They just want a price in the drawer, already agreed, envelope sealed, and they don't need to get back into doing a jigs and reels over to the thing. I can tell you for a fact, Daniel Levy refused to do that with PSG. And that's why there are all these offers and loans and this and loans that and option to buy. And he wouldn't give them a number. And that's why it didn't happen. That is shocking. That's £100,000 a week still on the thing. Danny Rose, to the best of my knowledge, unless I missed it, he didn't go to Turkey. Probably got stopped at customs with loads of Domino's pizzas in his hand luggage. He's backward. So Danny Rose, he didn't go. Gareth Bale, like I say, £250,000 a week. That is shocking. And don't tell me it's Christmas. I mean, look, I hate to sound exasperated, but it's Christmas. How many more games do you want to give him a run out before you believe what you've already seen with your own eyes?
Oh, no, come on, Bale.
And Eric Lamela, how he's still on the books, £80,000 a week. I can't even be bothered to add that up. All I can do is give Arsenal...
You couldn't say it if you did.
And if I did add it up, I'd just have to communicate it through the art of mime. But
Dance.
A jig. So we might be at the end. Oh yeah. This is the killer. This is the killer. I saved this to the end, not by chance. No, it wasn't by chance. And I'd like to thank
Your agent.
my parents and the bus conductor for leaving them alone to get on with it. Right, here we go. So people often stop me in the street. And I say, "Excuse me, sir.
Why do you dress like somebody from Gomorrah?
We'd like you to help us with your inquiries." People.
What's with those glasses?
I am.
Oh, the look!
I am very confident about my sexuality, and Larry Grayson.
Even though you think you're an Italian gangster.
There is a part of Larry Grayson that lives on. Where's the?
I don't know. Did you print out enough pieces of paper and use up enough ink by any chance?
Okay, I'm just going to make it up. I'm just going to make it up.
Actually,
this is it.
We've only been talking about facts for the last.
Okay. So, Bruce Grove,
Who's he?
is his real name, who writes on the site with me, who's a top chap and tremendous track record as a Tottenham fan. He's actually older than I am.
Wow.
So he's got his telegram from the Queen and all that. Now, a lot of clowns who have escaped from circuses and left their burnt-out cars for Tottenham to drive look at Leicester City. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, you know, Brendan Rodgers is really good and they won the title and everything. Well, I've got some really stark news for you here. And so let's see who in the audience gets this.
Okay.
Right, this is the operating profit and loss since 2016 through till the modern day.
Okay.
Right. 2016-17 loss 26 and loose change million. 27-18 38 million lost. 18-19 season 19 million lost. You see what's happening here. There's a pattern for me here. 2019-2020 16 million lost. 2020-21 just under 10 million lost. Do you know? Can I? Oh, this is so tough. Can we get there? Can we get there? Can we get there? Can we get there? That's run as a football club. That's run as a football club. I nearly went very Arsenal TV then, so I must never do that again. But that's run as a fucking football club, blood. You get me? Right? And ting, this is a football club in slow motion. So they're not. I don't know if they sell hot dogs or vegan burgers or flip flops or whatever, or crash helmets for American football. I don't know, and I don't care. They win stuff now and again because they won the league in my lifetime in colour. Brendan Rodgers, the guy who does the mansion betting thing, he does a very funny Harry Kane. He does the funniest Brendan Rodgers, and I can't remember his name, but if you look him up on YouTube, just put in Brendan Rodgers impressionist, and he does things, the character, immense character. And I don't rate him as a coach at all, but if you've got a club being run the way that club is run, there's a level whereby you don't have to have the best coach in the world, you know, before the club does well anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's a terrible slight on Brendan Rodgers, but I think he's relatively competent. That's what I would say about him. You know, he's not sort of Ian Dowie level, but he's not quite sort of Brian Clough. He's more closer to No, he's not that close to Clough, but he's further away from me and Darren.
His hand is moving up and down just to help you
There
visualise.
you go. Yeah, I mean, if there we go. So, like that.
Not that sort of up and down.
And not clipping his ankles together. But so that's the bare bones at a glance operating affairs of a football club. I don't even look at the numbers from Tottenham anymore because I don't know what comes from the sales of crash helmets, what comes from ketchup sachet gross margins. All I know is that we don't spend enough on players.
Yeah.
And we then give the junk, the leftovers, the losers
To one of the best managers in the world.
to the next guy. So if you're sat there in your mum's house, working from home in marketing because you're a millennial and you're white and you don't really know much about football, spare me the bring in the guy from Southampton spiel. Spare all of us the bring in the Nagel-Schmidt thing, whatever flavour of the month that you've got in your head, who's occupying your head rent-free, cretins, whoever it is you've got in your mind, save it. Put it in a diary, bury it at the bottom of the garden, don't keep a note of where you dug the hole. Because nobody cares. Nobody you bring in is going to fix Tottenham.
No, ENIC out.
ENIC are too far in. The debt is generational. The COVID thing, I keep on saying it, but it ain't going away. So if you've had your jabs, you have your second little jab, and then I'll talk to you again in another year. And you still wouldn't have been in a pub.
And what do we all do in the meantime?
Well, I'm just sitting in a chair that squeaks, watching updates from the government, waiting to die.
Whilst keeping it Tottenham.
Keep it Tottenham! That wasn't too bad.
Well done. You made it through to the end. Do us a favour. Like, rate, review, subscribe. And tell your friends about us, because they've not been through enough this last year. Cheers, guys. Keep it Tottenham.